If you are, can you please share a thumbs up in the chat, or just indicate if you can hear me. We will start in a few more minutes. I think 5 minutes more until more people join in, and yeah. Share my screen a bit. Just let me know once you are able to see my screen. Okay, I'm sharing my screen right now. So if you're able to see that in a moment, also please feel free to let me know. Just a moment. Okay. Yeah, let me know if you're able to see my screen now. Um,
Yes, I am able to see your screen.
yeah, you can also maybe you can share in chat also. Yeah, that's fine. We'll start in a few more minutes until we are at 3. It's only 3 minutes left. We'll start in a few more minutes.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, I'm new to programming, and I have downloaded the Python, and there is a text editor known as idle, which
Mhm.
is there. I think it is inbuilt with Python. And
Could you share again? Like, what's the name? Text editor name?
IDLE,
Oh, I see.
idle,
Okay. Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So in the idle, I am able to run the program using F5 command. But is there any way I can invoke this text editor from the uh, Python command from the command prompt in Python?
I haven't used idle though, but I think there are ways to you can do that. Um, I think you can try out. I think the exe file. I mean, if you see the documentation, I think there should be. I think I haven't used idle before. Mostly use Visual Studio Code. I think that is much more better for Python and any other coding exercises that you like want to work on. So yeah, I'm
Actually,
really not
Visual Studio is paid.
way. Sorry, I couldn't
I think
get it.
Visual Studio is not free. It's a paid thing. You have to
No,
pay
no, no. No, no. Visual Studio Code is free. So I'm just sharing in the link itself. It's everything is free there. I'm just sharing the link in the chat. I think
Okay.
Visual Studio Code, Visuals. There is two things. One is Visual Studio and one is Visual Studio Code. So I think Visual Studio is paid, which is the thing that you're mentioning. But yeah, so I just shared in the chat. If you
Oh, yes,
so
I can see that.
yeah, it's a suitable idle for Python plus any other language codings that you want to
Okay,
try out.
I will use this.
Yeah,
And I can easily invoke it also from the
yeah, yeah.
command prompt using
Yes,
Python.
yes, yes. Yeah, yeah. You
And,
can easily do
and
that
how
also.
to invoke it? By writing from statement, command. How to invoke it? Or
In
simply writing
you
visual.
mean you mean open the app Visual Studio software or the the program,
Right.
or you you want to run a program or something on Visual Studio Code through?
Actually, I can write the program in Visual Studio and save
Mhm.
it. And after
Mhm.
saving it, when I go to the system's command prompt and type py python
Ah,
3 greater than sign appear, and there, if I want to invoke that
oh,
file,
I see. Okay. Mm-hmm.
how to do that?
You can pass the file name, file path, right? And you can just run from there. Uh, so you probably have edited some code, Python code on VS Code, and then if you want to run that on a separate command prompt, I think you can just pass the file path, Python file path, and .py,
Okay,
and you can just simply. I think it's irrespective of the editor that you are working on. So I think it won't be um,
right.
an
I will
issue.
try to do that.
Okay, so we'll start in a few more moments. I think there are people who have joined in. Um, so mostly, I think the discussion today would be on assignments from last time. I think we didn't discuss on because last week was mostly an introduction thing about the course and overall. But this week we would be discussing the quizzes and also about some aspects of some extra questions, let's say, like that are almost similar to quizzes that can help you also during assignments and also in the exam also, I think, at the end. And then we'll cover some concepts also that is there for this week. Just go slightly to see what is there for this week. I think mostly we have like almost touched upon the concept of like assignment last week, but we can do a quick recap sort of, and then we can with strings and list. Mostly control flow functions we haven't touched, but the top three ones, lecture 2, 1, 2, and 3, we have already, like, on a high level we have done that. But again, seeing the lecture videos I think would help a lot if you can. So yeah, so yeah, Sahil has a hand up. Do you want to share anything? So yeah, we'll just start in a few more moments, and I think people are still joining in. Um,
Excuse me, sir. Where can we find the recorded videos?
I think there is a sheet shared, I think, in the chat. I think that should the week one lectures are up now. You can so there is a sheet shared in the chat. You can click on it. And it's on YouTube right now, and so you can just go through it. So just a recap of what we discussed last time. I think we can do a quick recap uh, of what we had been doing on in the last week's class. So last week was mostly an introductory session. We discussed about week one topics, which was on just on some GCD part, as well as on some aspects of IDs, of how which IDs you can use for Python and all. and so on, and also mostly questions about this course, overall course, and all those things. We did start with basics also. We started with assignments, like how you variable in Python and all, and then we went ahead into like strings and list, but mostly that was the sort of aspect that we discussed. So yeah, I think that was more or less the discussion that we had. Yeah, just give me a moment. The like I think people are still joining in, so we will start around like 3:10 or something. I think that's so as more people can join. If you have any questions, please post in the chat. In the meantime, I will just have a look.
The audio is not audible.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just as I mentioned, I think we'll start around 3:10. So we're just waiting for a few more people to join in, and then we'll start on the actual uh, things. So if you have any questions from last time in assignments and quizzes, feel free to share that, and we will discuss those. Yeah, if you have a question, feel free to raise your hands also. You can speak up and discuss, or you can also post on the chat offline, whatever works best for you.
Sir,
We'll look
Audio
at.
is not audible, sir.
is any created? Hello, sir.
Hello.
Is
Yes.
any WhatsApp group created of on the candidate, registered candidate?
No, no, there is not a WhatsApp group that has been created. We are mostly working through MS Teams. I think not all the participants have joined yet. Like, sorry, on Slack we are doing as well as on Teams, both, but no WhatsApp group.
Because
I will post
it will be
the
better
invite.
to get the notification regarding the meetings or any other doubt that can be shared.
So if you have any doubts, I think the best way to do this is to post during the class hours itself in the chat. I think that's the usual norm, like rule that we are following. So you can post during the class sort of session itself, and we will discuss through those during class itself. If you have any offline doubts, that is means outside class, you can always post it on Slack or Teams. But again, I think the frequency of doubt clearance, I think won't be that much as of during the class. But you can feel free to post on Slack or Teams. We'll share the Slack team also, I think, by end of this call, so that so around when I would be ending this call around 5, so I would share that Slack channel also. So we'll start now. I think just give me a thumbs up if you are able to. I think because there are new journeys, so if you can see my screen, just post a thumbs up, so that just to get an idea, like if there is. Okay. Um, So we'll then go ahead with I think week one quiz. I think that should be one thing we should discuss, and then because there were some doubts from last time that the quizzes are probably a bit difficult for some people, and due to the fact that there are many multiple concepts that are required for answering questions. So we'll go through those quizzes, and then we'll sort of. Okay, there are some questions I think on the chat, and let me see. Is the exam going to happen only like only MCQ based or any code? Yeah, I think there will be both, not only just MCQ based, but there will be also be coding wise. There won't be like sort of any running code on the exam hall. I think mostly it would be like you have a code snippet you need to understand how the course should work, and you have to answer an MCQ question. For example, the format of the quizzes, how that is, you will. So yeah, Anusha has a question. Do you want to go ahead?
Sir, I had actually registered for the exam, but I got an email saying payment is failed.
Okay. So I think
Okay, so
the
I
first
had
question.
emailed the email ID, but still I didn't receive any mail back.
I see. I'll suggest like you sort of you should reach out to the NPTEL official email, so that I think or the course coordinator email, so that I think they should be able to help you out about this transaction issues and all. I think that should be the best help to others, because I'm not exactly sure who is the right person to talk to. I think in the NPTEL course website, I think you would get the exact contact details.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So, any other questions? In what way? Uh, okay, so in what way quiz and assignment would differ? I think, yeah, I think mostly in assignments, I think you would also have to run some code by the side. In quizzes, if you are familiar with the GATE exam, I think if you are, because some of the questions on in quizzes are in that format itself. So at least for data structures and algorithms concept under the GATE exam has a very similarity to the questions in quizzes. So in assignments also, I think there would be similar questions, but also you probably have to also code it out. There will be some coding assignments also. So yeah, I think Saurabh has a question. I think we'll go through the quiz questions. I think the doubts will be cleared there. So if there are no other questions, I think we can go ahead with the quiz descriptions and sort of discuss that. Um, okay. Yeah, so we'll start with the first question, which is this one. So basically, I mean, the solutions are also here, but I think just to give you a hint of how to think about these problems without even running code, I think that's what is required. Because yeah, I think students, you can form your own Telegram room if you like. I think we are anyways having a Slack or Teams group. We'll share those links if you want to join that also. That it will also be any other way would be fine. Yeah. So there is another question, like if any exam is on 22nd. Yeah, I think if you have the specific problems, I think you should mention to the NPTEL coordinator for this course. I think mail them regarding. I think there is always a possibility of doing reschedule of exam for specific reasons where you have some clash with other events. So that won't be an issue. So I would suggest you to sort of mail the NPTEL coordinator person. Yeah, so we'll start with the question. Our first question is, what does H3231 return for the following function definition? Where I'm function definition is defined by this. So we defined function briefly from last week. I hope if you have any of you have any doubts how functions are defined, please feel free to like just let me know if you are if you have any doubts or something, so then we can cover that and then we can go ahead with the other definitions. Any doubts? Mm, okay, there are some questions, I think. The screen is not visible. Okay, let me reshare my screen. Okay, just let me know if you're able to see my screen now. You can share a thumbs up like before. um, yeah. Okay, so we'll go ahead then.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Actually, I wasn't able to attend the last class. So, can you tell what was discussed in it?
Yeah. So on a high level, we discuss about the first week's introduction mostly, like in terms of overall course overview, like what we'll be covering and all, and also some questions about why take this course and all mostly. And then we discussed about some aspects of how to, as part of the GCT implementation, how to define if else conditions, and also some aspects of variable assignments. We mostly covered last week on week 2 lecture 1 and lecture 2, like assignments and lecture 2 strings. Those were the main things, but yeah, so the main portions were mostly the last week class was mostly like an introductory session because it was first week lecture. So that's why we only covered up till lecture 2. We will cover up till lectures 3, 4, 5 today, as well as the quizzes, I think. And there will be some overlap with the previous last week's class also. So I think you'll be able to catch up based upon that. Yeah, so we will go ahead. Um, Yes. Okay. So I will just answer the questions in a brief moment. I think we can go ahead with the quizzes and then we can discuss the other things. So okay, so we'll have this function. I have a VS Code compiler, so I can sort of start a small. Instead of running the code, I can just simple like do. Uh, so ignore the other files. It's just that it's part of another thing. So I'm just writing it here. Um, so the question is that age of 3231 would return what the value of age of 3231 would be if my function definition is like this. So writing comments, you can like simple like this, as I mentioned last time. You can just simply do a hash like this, and then you can write a comment, or you can also do double quotes, triple quote, and you can also write a comment. So this is a comment, for example. Okay, so with that, I think there is also Python indentations. So for example, I'm just correcting the indentations here. So the first statement is part of the function definition. The while is also a statement of the function definition. The second part is also a statement of the function plus the while. So that's why there is another indentation. And I think the return is part of the function definition. So that's why it's single indentation. So I can just run this code also and just see. But for the time being, what I would do is we'll try to go to the question answer without even running the program. So what does the first line mean? So the first line means that I'm assigning m comma a to variables to values 1 comma 0. So m and a are variables. The m is a variable. So I'm writing comments here. So you can write similar comments also for your Python programs also. A is also a variable. And what do you think is the type of the variable? Anyone can comment what type is a variable. You can answer in the chat, I think, if you want. I'm just resharing my screen a bit. Yeah, anyone has a clue like what's the? It's an int variable, right? So it's a variable. So the thing now is that share my screen. I think, yeah. So both these variables are int, uh, and the value of m is equal to set to 1, and the value of a is equal to set to 0. So this is a way of assigning variables m comma a to 1 comma 0. Another way to do this also, I'm again writing a comment here. So m is equal to 1 and a is equal to, sorry, I can write something like this, a equal to 1 and a equal to 0. There is also another style of writing variable assignments. But since there are two variable assignments, I can just do it in a single line to save time, sort of. So now my values of m and a are initialized to 1 and 0, and I have to find the value of h is equal to h3231. That means again, writing a comment here, sort of, I can use a triple comment here. So that means my value of x is equal to 3231, which I'm assigning in this variable. And the thing is that I am running a while loop for m less than equal to x. That means m was initially sort of m was initially initialized to 1, and then m is less than equal to 3231. So that means it's a true condition, and it should go in the while loop. Yeah, anyone has a question? Sort of, you want to? Okay, there are some questions. Why we have put brackets? Okay, so the brackets are because I'm doing a single line, so that's why I'm adding a bracket. Yeah, I think that, I hope that answers your question. If you are not speaking, please kindly mute yourself so that others don't hear the noise. Yeah. Okay. So we'll go ahead with the. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. I think for this braces also I can sort of remove. I mean, I can also have without the braces thing also. I mean, both ways I can have. Similarly, I can also do this here, and or I can also remove the braces here also. So any style of writing the code you can follow. So now the thing is, m is equal to 1, initialized to 1, and m is obviously less than equal to 3231. So that means this while loop condition is true and should enter into this part. So if it enters into this part, I am assigning m is equal to m star 2, and a is equal to a plus 1. So this is my assignment. That means my value of m becomes 2, and a becomes 0 plus 1, which is 1. And now I again go back to the while loop. Now my value of m is equal to 2 now, and which is again less than equal to 3231. So it enters into the for loop. Now I'm again doing the same thing, m equal to m star 2, a equal to a plus 1. So that means this becomes 2 star 2 equal to 4, and this becomes plus 1, which is equal to 2. So that's my current value of m and a. Now I again go to the for loop, again do the same thing. Now my value of m becomes equal star 2 becomes 8, and a becomes equal to plus 1 becomes equal to 3. So now you can do this and sort of see that my value of m are coming in powers of 2, and a is actually incrementing in one step. So I can simply write m is increasing in powers of 2. That means at step 1 it was 2. Step 2 it was 2 to the power squared. Step 3 it was 2 to the power 3, and so on. And so it would go on like this. But the value of a is increasing just by 1. A is increasing just by 1. So increasing just by 1. You can just see that I only want the value of a at the end. So h of 3231 should only at the value of a at the end. So you can just see a can be just simply log to the base of my value of x, where x is equal to, in my case, is equal to 3231. So you can take a ceiling, you can take a floor value, because obviously log of 3231 is around 3.59 something, because it won't actually, your for loop would actually is less than equal to, so that's why it won't go exactly to 3231. It would stop below 3231. So the lowest possible power of sort of 2, that is the greatest power of 2 that is less than 3231, that's your value of x, it should stop at. The value of m it should stop at, and so that's your a. So approximately it's log of the base 2 of 3231. I hope that answers some of the questions. Um, uh, why here log has been taken? Okay. Yeah, so log because we're doing powers of 2, I can just solve it easily. So basically, I want to check the value of a such that let's say m goes to some value, it's set to the power y, let's say, and a is initialized to 0, and it's set to y. Why? Because um, y is a variable. So again, y is a variable, let's say. So at step 1, my value of m was equal to 2. Step 2, value of m is equal to 2 square. Step 3, value of m is 2 to the power 3. So I can simply, like, let's say, even instead of y, let's say I keep it step. So y is equal to 2 to the power step. If you see, 2 to the power step equal to 1 is 2, 2 to the power 2 square, 2 square, 2 to the power cube, 3, 2 to the power 3, and 2 to the power 4, and so on. So it's basically m equal to 2 to the power step, and a is actually getting incremented just by 1. So that means at step 1, my value of a was initially 0, so it would be 0 plus 1 equal to 1. Step 2, it would be a equal to 1 um, plus 1, which is equal to 2. So that means a is just equal to the step number itself. So I can just replace I can just replace the step with a. I can just write this as 2 to the power a, and so I can write a as log to the base 2 of m. So that's my sort of answer. And if m, because I am trying to get m as close as possible to x, so whatever closest value, I can just approximately write this as log of 2 base x. So that's my sort of solution. And if you want to run this code, I'll just show you how to do that. So I think, let me run that. So print age of 3231, and this is my code that I want to run, the value that I want to get. So I can just do Python 3, because I'm using, so Python has different versions. One is 2.7 versions, now everything is in 3.7 and 3.9, 3.11. So the latest versions are all Python 3.7 plus. So that's why I'm using Python sort of thing. So just a moment, I think let me add it here. Okay. Okay, so the value of value is 12. Let's see 2 to the power 12. What is the value of 2 to the power 12? And let's see if it's close to 3231. 2 to the power 12. Let me print it. Yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So I'm just printing just to see whether the things are matching up or not. Okay, so 2 to the power 12 is 14. Sorry, I think it's not the actual thing. So let me, yeah, it's 4096. 2 to the power 12 is, and the value of a in my case is 12, and the closest value of that is 3231. So that's why it's the value that, yeah. So I think answer is 10. I think this is the sort of this is the same code itself, right? So if I am running this, I'm initializing with 1 and 0, and I'm running this with 3 to 3 1. So I'm getting my answer as 12 itself. Yeah. Okay. So the answer is 12. Yeah. Okay. You can run this code in the on the thing. Yeah. Okay. So can you show how to create directory in VS Code? Yeah. So it's easy to do how you can do this in VS Code. You can just create this folder icon here, new folder, and to create a folder, you can just rename your folder name, like any folder name that you have, and you would create a file for you. So that's easy to do that. Or you can also do from command prompt like mkdir, just like you do in Linux. So either way, you can create a folder by any of those alternative things. Yeah. Any other questions in the chat? Okay. So I hope this question is clear. Question 1. So we can pause for 5 minutes. If you have any doubts here, please feel free to ask. We can then go ahead in the next question. So I think this is an ideal time you can ask if you have any doubts. Raise your hand or post any doubts. So what is the platform you're using right now? So yeah, I'm using Visual Studio Code. So I already posted in the chat at the top. So I'm just pinning it in the chat so that you can just all see it. So you can just download the Visual Studio Code code base and sort of work on any code, like not just Python, but any code you want to work on. So yes. Okay. I think we can then go ahead with the next question. If there are no doubts. So what is the value of g of 24 minus g of 23 given the definition of g below, which is this one? So let me just copy paste in the code here. And I'm just deleting this code line. So I think since it's black, I think it's probably not visible to everyone. So I'm just switching the theme here. Yeah, anyone has any questions? Okay. So I'm just switching themes just to so that everyone can actually just see if like, okay, just pasting the code here. Okay, let us just check if the code indentation is correct or not, because the indentation is very important. So s equal to 0 is a local variable of the function g, and for there is a for loop there after that, and then there is a if condition, and then there is I'm incrementing the value of s, and this s is s equal to s plus 1 is part of the if condition, which itself is a part of the for condition. And let us just check if that is the case in our case. So s is equal to s plus 1 is part of if condition, which is part of the for condition, and so on. So my question is, what is the value of g of 24 minus g of 23? Okay. So now again, I'm not trying to run the code first. I will just go by standard um, understanding of the code and the algorithm in the code, just to see like what it's actually doing, and I will just try to work through that, and then we can run the code and see what is the actual value. So the value of what is gn actually is doing. So gn I start with a variable s equal to 0, and then I'm running a for loop from one I equal to 1 to n plus 1, and then I'm doing something like n star I. What does this mean? So this means that if I divides n, then it returns me the remainder thing. So that means if let's say n is equal to 4, let's say, and I is equal to 2, so n star I would be equal to 0 because 4 is divided by 2. That's why it's n star I is equal to 0. And if I say like n equal to 4 again and I equal to let's say 3, then n star I is equal to 1, because the remainder when I divide 4 by 3, it would be 1. That's the notation for meaning remainder. So basically this what it means is that if n star I and percentage I is equal to 0, that means I divides the integer n, then I should go into this if condition s equal to s plus 1 and return the like and so on. So okay, so any questions? I think yeah, so I'll just discuss the answer one by one. I think I will go that. Yeah, so now the thing is that I start with n, any value n, and what I'm doing is like I'm running a for loop from 1 to n plus 1, and I'm just seeing at each point of the for loop index I whether the index actually divides the integer n. If it divides that, I'm incrementing the value or of s, and you can think of s as like a counter variable. Counter variable, just the notation. What is a counter variable? Basically, it means a variable that helps you to count. So that's a counter variable. And so what I'm doing here is that for all 1 to n plus 1, I'm seeing all the I indices, and I'm seeing whether I divides n or not. So let's say in the value of g of 24, I start I equal to 1 to, I do it till 25 because n plus 1 is 25. I see whether I start with s equal to 0. I start with 1, I equal to 1. 24% 1 is obviously equal to 0. So that means s equal to plus 1 now. I equal to 2. 24 star 2 is also equal to 0 because 24 is an even number. So that's why s equal to 2 now. I equal to 3. This is also true. So s equal to 3 and so on. So I'm just writing till 25 just to showcase. So I equal to 4. This is also true. So s equal to 4. I equal to 5. This is not true because 5 doesn't divide 24. So I just skip it. I equal to 6 is true. So keep s equal to 5 now. I equal to 7 is not true. I equal to 8 is true. So I'll do 6. I equal to 9 is not true. I equal to 10 is not true. I equal to 11 is not true. I equal to 12 is true. So I'll do s equal to 7. I equal to 13 is not true. I equal to 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Up till 24 is not true. So I'll just straight away go to 24. It's true. S equal to 8 now. And I equal to 25 because I'm doing till n plus 1. The second false. So I will just stay at s equal to 8. So I skipped some of the steps. Like for example, I equal to 7 and all. So you can just assume that those steps are false. So I'm not incrementing anything. So that means 8 is my final value that I should return here. So, but you understand what is happening here? What is happening here is like actually calculate the number of factors of the value 24. So that means all the numbers that divide the number 24, we are actually keeping a count of them, and that's my value. So in the case of this, 24 has a total number of factors equal to 8. So 8 is my value of g of 24. G of 23 is the sorry, I think g of 23 is basically 1 and 23 only divides g of 23. So that's why g of 23 is would be equal to 2. And so g of 24 is equal to, let's say, 8. And so the difference is just 6 that you have. So I think any questions? I think. Yeah, the value of things are 6. So again, just to verify whether this thing is actually true or not, I'm just printing again g of 24 minus g of 23. Sorry. And just printing also value of g of 24 minus g of 23. So these are simple questions as of now. I think for beginners, I think it would be might be difficult, but I think as the quiz is, some difficulty would be there. I'm just running this thing again. So value of G24 minus G23 is 6, as we discussed. So even without running the code, you can just simply, if you understand what is happening in the code, I think you don't even need to run the code. So that's the sort of, and again, since Python's code is very easily readable because there is no too much syntax involved, so it's easy to also read through and understand the code on a high glance, sort of. Okay. Okay, so there are some questions, I think. I'll just, yeah. Is there a, I think, why is taken till 25? Okay, so it's taken till 25 because I have my value n equal to 24. So if you see the for loop here, it's, oh sorry, I think it's n plus 1. So I'm doing 1 to n plus 1 basically means 21 comma 25. So I'm including the value 24. I think I made a mistake here. Yeah, so thanks for pointing out. Yeah, I don't need I equal to 25. I just need up till 24 itself, because this value is 1 comma 25, but in range I don't take the last value. So that's the thing. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. And then there is another question. I think there is a binary search code in week 3. Can you explain? Yeah, probably. I think at the end of this thing we can discuss if we have time. Otherwise, we can continue to next week to discuss binary search. I think binary search is very important, sort of, and it's an interesting, easy, and also interesting, intuitive. We'll discuss that if we get time today, but it would take some time, I think, uh, to sort of discuss that in detail. Um, that's a return statement, and then doing minus operations. So we have to add the answer in the return statement, and then doing, um, sorry, yeah, I think uh, yeah, I think you can either do anything. I mean, if you want to assign a variable g of 24 to some variable, let's say x, and g of 23 to a variable, let's say y, you can just do x minus y also. I think that any way you can do it, because in the question I think they are asked what is the value of g24 minus g23. So all they care about is, like, um, you do it separately for g of 24 and separately for g of 23, and then see what is the thing. But you can also do a simple trick also, because 24 and 23 are like, I mean, you can't actually, because there is some way to also do some, not actually learn a for loop twice, sort of, because 24 is greater than 23. But I think like those discussions probably I think might be we won't go into those discussions right now. I think once the code progresses, we will look at how to also optimize your code. I think in those settings, we can think of clever ways to sort of solve a problem instead of doing brute force kind of approaches. So I think you will see in dynamic programming and all. I think there is this concept of solving a problem and such that you don't do it by it doesn't take that much time um, as compared to a brute force algorithm. So brute force basically means that you are doing all possible combinations and see. So there are efficient ways to do that, and I think as the course progresses, we'll discuss that in more detail soon. So I hope there are no questions here. So I think the answer is also six. We'll go ahead and discuss the next problem. But yeah, please let me know if there are any other questions. Sort of. Okay, there are no questions. I think. So there is a question. I think is every course has a live session? Yeah, I think there is this part is only the live session part. I think other than that, there are no other. I think the lectures are all I think pre-recorded mostly by professor. So I think this is the only live course. Okay. So any questions in the regarding the problem in quiz this question? Okay, I think we can go ahead with the next question then. I think the next question is also a bit similar to the second question. The only difference is that so these portions are all same as the previous question. If you see, the only difference is that I'm doing s instead of returning just s, I'm just doing a boolean variable. Whether what is a boolean variable? I think we discussed last time. So it means whether your variable value is true or false. So s star 2 is equal to 2 basically means that it's equal to either true or false. So this is a equality condition. So that's the basic meaning of that. So now we'll just understand this briefly because anyways we have run through the code previously, which is exactly similar. So again, S actually does what is actually doing is S is doing sort of the number of factors in the value of n, that is the factors that are dividing n, only storing those counted numbers. And now at the end I'm doing s star 2 is equal to 1. That means if I divide s by 2, my remainder would be 1. So think of in the integer range, what are the numbers that when you divide by 2 should return you 1 as a remainder. So basically all the odd numbers are the ones that return you remainder 1, because let's say I divide 3 by 2, I would get my sort of remainder is equal to 1. And let's say I divide 5 by 2, I would get quotient equal to 2 and remainder equal to 1, and so on. So s star 2 equal to 1 means my I want to return the true else condition, true false condition based upon whether s is a odd number or an even number. If s is an odd number, I return true. If s is an odd even number, I return false. So this is the question now. N is an odd number as an option. I necessarily may not be the case because the function. Okay, so the function fn given above returns true for a positive number f if and only if the following four options. So I assume that it always returns true. That means s is always odd. So does n equal to an odd number necessarily means that the number of factors is also odd? Not necessarily, because you can see, let's say you can take a number, let's say 5 for example. 5 has two factors, 1 and 5. and the number of factors is not odd, it's even. So that's not again a case. Let's say n is a prime. That's also not the case, because again the same example, n equal to 5, it has two factors. So again that's not a possibility. N is a composite number, that also is not a possibility, because you can see that the number of factors is even there also. N is a perfect square. I think the solutions are already given, but for perfect square, I think one factor gets repeated actually if n is a is a perfect square, because perfect square basically means you can divide the numbers into two different sort of like two different and even divide 3 and 3, so it's 3 squared is 9. So all extra factor gets counted extra. So since that is the case, that's why the number of factors in a square number is always odd. That's my final answer. N is a perfect square, so that is the answer. That is the case where this thing becomes true. That answers that question. Um, yeah. Any questions here? Mm, okay. Any questions here in this question? If you have, please you can raise your hand, you can speak, or you can post in the chat, whatever works for you. Yeah, any questions here? Okay, I think there are no questions. I think anyway, it's an easy problem, so I think solutions are also given here. So I will go to the last for today. This one. Again, it's a simple problem sort of to. I think there is some question. There is a simple problem here. So you're given a function like this, and if m is equal to 0, if you return 0, then you return m plus f of m minus 1. So this type of functions, you call it as a recursive function. Why is it recursive? Because you are again calling the function m inside the function. So basically, let's say I take the value of m is equal to 5. Let's so m is equal to 0 doesn't satisfy, so it goes to else condition. Else condition says it's 5 plus f of m minus 1, that is 5 plus f of 4. Now you can call for f of 4 and again do the same thing. Uh, 4 is not equal to 0, so it doesn't return 0, it goes to else condition. Now f of m and f of 4 is equal to 4 plus f of 3. That was 5. And now extra 4 gets added, and then f of 3 is also there. And if you do this, and you will see it's the value is plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Basically, zero function of f. So I have 4 options here. True, because it's a sum of first n numbers. So I think that option B and option D I see are the ones that should be the ones that are correct. So I eliminate option A and option C. I only keep option second, option 4. Now there is a difference. The function terminates for non-negative n in option B, and the function terminates for any n. What does it mean, non-negative? Non-negative means any n which is if it's always have to sort of stop the function if the function value of m goes to 0. Point of time, my value of m cannot go to a negative value because this is my stopping criterion. So f of m minus 1 I do, then I do f of m minus 2, then I do f of m minus 3, and so on, uh, unless until like my value of m goes to 0, and then I stop and return 0. So it all holds true and terminates for non-negative n because n when it becomes zero number, it would always terminate. But let's say I do n as a negative number. Let's say n equal to minus 5. Let's say if it's minus 5, this is again not true, and I would go to a loop sort of. It would be minus 5 plus f of minus 6, and f of minus 6 would go to f of minus 7. F of minus 7 would go to f of minus 8, and it would go on sort of. And so it won't actually stop at any point. So the function would always terminate for only non-negative n with the value f of n is equal to n of n plus 1 by 2, because I'm calculating the sum of the first n integers. So that's my main. So I think with that, I think closing week one quiz. Any doubts or anything, please. Is my voice is not clear? Just a moment. I'm just switching the network. Hello, is my voice clear? Can anyone comment if my voice is clear? Um, can anyone comment if my voice is? Hello. Can anyone comment if my voice is clear right now? If you're able to hear me, can you please post a thumbs up? Yeah, I will just go through the last question now. Is it clear, coming clear? Can you again confirm? Others can please confirm if it's my voice is coming clear. Okay, that's good. Let's go ahead then. I think I switched off my camera. I think due to the fact that my network is a bit down. So I'll just share my screen, and I'll just go through the last problem once again. Yeah, let me know if you're able to see my screen now. So I will just go through this last problem once again. So question 4 actually means it's something we call as a recursive function. So why it's a recursive function? Because I'm calling the function f again and again in a loop fashion from f equal to m return m plus f of minus 1, and f of minus 1 is again called to get f of minus 2 and so on. So that's why it's a recursive function. Now the question was, I have four options here. I have to see which of the one is correct. So just to get an understanding what the function f of m is doing, I take a simple example. Let's take m equal to 7, let's say. So f of 7 is equal to, if m equal to 0, 7 is obviously not equal to 0. That's why this thing doesn't return. This thing doesn't hold true. I go to the else condition and I return 7 plus f of 7 minus 1. That means f of 6. So my return value would be 7 plus f of 6. Now I am again calling f of 6, and 6 is again not equal to 0. I again go to the else condition. I would have 6 plus f of 6 minus 1, which is f of 5. Previously I had 7 plus f of 6. F of 6 now is equal to 6 plus f of 5. If I again do f of 5, it would be 5 plus f of 4 and so on. So you can see there is a pattern here. It's basically 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4 up till my value of m goes to 0. So basically, if my value m, if my m is equal to 7, I'm summing up 1 to 7, the first 7 integers in the number list, 1 plus 2 plus 3 up till 7, which is equal to 7 into 7 plus 1 by 2, because the formula for summing of the first n integers is n into n plus 1 by 2. So up till that, I just first see which of the options actually match with that. So option A doesn't match with my value because it's a factorial. It's saying it's a factorial, which is not true. So if there is no questions, I hope if yeah, I'll just go to the negative scenario. I'll just first discuss the. So A, option A is not true. Option C is also not true. So I only have option B and option D. Now I have a difference where my n is strictly 0 or positive. That means non-negative. And option B is any value of n. That means it can be positive, negative. And I have to determine what is the value of n such that my function terminates. So for that, what I would do is I take again an example. Let's say my value of m is, or let's say because I'm given n here, let's say I try to see option B. So n can take any value. It can be positive 0 or it can be negative. Let me take n equal to minus 10, let's say minus 10. So f of minus 10, if m equal to 0, obviously minus 10 is not equal to 0. So it would go into the else condition and it would return me m plus f of m minus 1. That means it's minus 10 plus f of minus 10 minus 1. That means it is minus 10 plus f of minus 11. Now you see there is a thing that's going on here. So f of minus 11, you again call it minus 11 is not equal to 0. So you again go to else condition, and f of minus 11 would now return you minus 11 plus f of minus 11 minus 1, that is f of minus 12. So this argument is actually increasing with a negative sign. It's not actually going towards 0, it's going away from 0 on the opposite direction of on the sign axis. If you see the sign positive and negative, it's going away from the 0 part. It's going towards the negative more and more as you do. So my function never terminates if I take a value of m which is a negative number. So I only can terminate when my value of m is always positive, or if it's a 0 value. So if it's a 0 value, it's obviously just 0. If it's a positive, I can do the sum of first n numbers. So that's why option D is the correct answer here. I hope that clarifies your question. So yeah, so does recursion is like a while loop? Yeah, you can think of recursion like a while loop, but you can, I mean, there is you can see an analogy between while loop and recursion. You can sort of write the same recursion code in a while loop fashion also, but I would not say they are exactly the same, because internally in the code how the function calls takes place and the cost and everything there's because there is a thing called recursion stack, sort of how the function calls takes place. That thing is not there in a while loop. So there is additional extra overhead cost of doing multiple function calls. So that thing is not there in a while loop. So those things are different, but you can always write a code that is in while loop and transform it to another the same code using a recursion style. So those are the things. Yeah. Any other questions till now? Okay. I hope this answers all your doubts for week one. I think we had discussed the quizzes here, as you can see. Um, I think this going through these quizzes would actually help you to sort of understand more details about how to sort of like think about problems, not just in Python, but also in general, like doing data structures and algorithms. I think because these are some of the questions that uh, interviewers actually ask you during interviews. So I hope that gives you some experience. I'll still highly recommend you to actually look at some other resources also outside of the course in terms of answering quizzes and all. So for example, this is a sort of website where they have different quizzes, sort of different sorts. Um, so from where are this quizzes taken? I'm not sure whether this quiz is taken. I think they're probably thought of, or maybe from the internet. Maybe I don't know. But I think these quizzes are probably more thought by someone and sort of done. But you can see for similar quizzes and all on the internet also. I think you can, if you practice enough, you'll see. I think example, for example, this online Python sort of website host a lot of quizzes here. So I'll just share that pythongigs.org, one sort of website where you can. Yeah, I'm just sharing the link here. So I just shared a link also on the chat. If you want to practice more quizzes, you can do that from here. We can do some small exercises, I think, on the Python, let's say, on Python functions, or let's say on strings, let's say, because a lecture to be ended on strings. Let's do that. And um, so again, like these are like some simple exercises to just to sort of sort of give you an idea of how to sort of apply your concepts, just and think about. Again, the questions we practiced are mostly programming questions, but there are also like some of these questions are also important. I think it probably would be useful for your exams and the end also, because this mostly test about your concepts, understanding and all. So for example, let's do a few questions. I think they would give you a flavor of how these questions looks like. So which of the following operators are not allowed in strings? Plus, minus, star, equal to. So plus is actually allowed because you can concatenate two strings together using plus, and you can do also uh, um, yeah, you can also do star also. You can also do equal to. So only is that is not possible. So you can just check and see. Yeah, this is the correct option. So minus, because minus is a arithmetic operation, you can actually can't do it. Plus you can do, because you can just concatenate two strings. Going to the next question, which of the following is not allowed in string creation in Python? str1 is equal to this thing, str2 is equal to this thing, str so on. So what do you think is the option? Anyone in the chat? So Utkarsha says it's B. Luis says it's D. Yeah, I think it should be D because D has two different literals here. So there is a double quote, but it doesn't end with um, a double quote. So let's see that is the correct option because here you have double quotes everywhere, but here you have a single quote ending only. You don't actually end your string with. So let's go to the next question. Yeah, any questions? Yeah, I think in B you can just check on your terminal and see because since it ends with a double quote again, so that takes into account as a string itself. So let's go to this question. A string gets the output of this code, and you have to split against the value t, and so you have to say which of the one is correct. So anyone has sort of answer like what would be the correct option here? Anyone else? Anyone else wants to guess on this question? I think it's a bit tough, but if you're not familiar with it and all. Um, so what does split do? So basically, split actually is actually it's like a split. You can split the sentence into two parts along the letter that you want to split across. So it's T, for example, you want to split across the letter T. So and you get basically a list of numbers, a list of strings outside both the sides of T. So what do you think would be the correct option based upon that assumption? A, B, some A syntax error with B option. I mean D. So there are a lot of D's, some A's. Um, yeah, it should be. See, it's first answer itself. So it's A because I'm actually splitting across T. So that means the first words before T guess is the first word before T. After that, I'm splitting after T up till the next occurrence of T, which is HE out. So I'm going till HE out, and then I'm again splitting from the other side of T, which is PU up till the next occurrence of T, and from so on like this. So that's the sort of answer. So only because I'm actually doing a split across T, that's why it won't be included. Because if I, for example, mostly people use it for, let's say, split across a comma or a semicolon. When you do that, you will see the semicolon and the comma doesn't get printed. Only the words that are on the left hand side and on the right hand side get split into two different item list. So this is actually a list actually. So that's why this is the output. So which of the following data types can consist of alphabets, numbers, and symbols? So question is int, float, or str. What do you think would be the answer here?
A carrot type, sir. Carrot type.
Why? Why do you think card is the one? It should be string.
A character data
Is
type
this thing?
can be handle the other data types as a character.
No, actually, the thing is, character only gives you one particular alphabet or symbol, not a multiple sort of like string can give you, let's say, uh, for example, the initial example that we saw, like Python string, something like that. So it can have alphabets within it, it can have numbers within it, it can have any symbols within it. It's literally, you can have a sentence as a string, you can have a word as a string. Character is basically just a single character. That's why you can't actually have character for consisting of alphabets, numbers, and symbols all together in the same thing. So I hope that answers your question. Um, we'll go now to the next one. So which of the following prints hello world? Let's say. So the first option or the second option or the third option or both B and C. So what do you think like would be the case here? Any sort of uh, answers? So there are some questions. I think D and A. I think most of there's equal number of D, more number of D's than A. Um, yeah, I think D would be sort of. I C. I think it would be D because should also thing also. I think it should also print out B also because this are actually like concatenation only. So it should print out both B and C both. But again, like probably we need to check once. Let me write up. Let me check through. Uh, think, maybe I think we'll check that later. I think since time is short. So there is some question. I think that will we discuss week two. Yeah, week two quiz. I think is for this week. Whatever we are looking at, and I think we'll discuss that next week possibly. So we are doing week previous week's quizzes in the next week like that. So we'll go through that. So now again, like which of the following is not an escape sequence allowed for strings? And like some of the questions here, I think um, probably you might sort of need to know a bit more outside of the course. I don't think you would probably get um, much sort of like um, much sort of like questions like this in your actual exam, maybe which are out of domain sort of. But again, like it's good to practice if you can sort of. So like this, you can sort of do it. I mean, I'm not going through all the questions yet. There are 15 questions, but you can do it on other things like Python tuples versus list, for example, Python booleans and all. Like this, you can check this. So maybe we can also discuss week two. I think today itself. Um, and if you have any sort of any other things to discuss, we can discuss that first. Then we can probably go to week two quiz and end the session today. So if there are any questions, feel free to let me know. Sort of. So can you please post a vote? Maybe I think I can share a poll sort of if one people wants quiz or let's say to discuss the week two quiz or the concepts maybe. Start trying to add a poll. Just give me a moment. I'll just add that. I just posted a poll. I hope you are able to see. Just please create a vote here. Which one you want to pick up now for the timing, and sort of discuss. Can you? I hope you are able to answer. Um, like you are able to sort of give a poll update sort of. Yeah, so we will discuss the programming assignments of the quizzes. You can sort of. Okay, so most people are going for quizzes. We can discuss quiz. And please vote in. I think we'll get a good rough sort of. So I think yeah, please put in your votes which one you want to go through, either quiz or. So by the way, actually also I wanted to share. So while you are answering the questions on the votes, I also wanted to share a resource on Python. Sort of, I think this is something I had set up a while back on my GitHub account. I think this should be useful for you. Please go ahead and sort of also try to maybe go through that. Just sharing that once in this chat here. Just give me a moment. Um, so um, so I had a GitHub repository sometime back. I think a long time back. You can probably go through this. So there's a code base of all sort of important problems in Python that I had coded out, and also some other people have also coded out, sort of. And you can visit that code base. It's on GitHub. It's mostly about in terms of how to write Python code, and for different applications, like not just simple programming challenges, but also like important problems which you might find interesting as a part of your learning phase, sort of. So I highly suggest that you go ahead with that and maybe check like how to sort of do that, like how to solve it and all. So I hope yeah, so I think there are some votes already. So if you can highlight how we can do week two assignment. So I actually didn't get it. So week two assignment project. So could you please detail me what, if there is any project or something sort of that is required for week two? Could you share in the chat maybe about that? Like, I'm not exactly sure what do you mean by a project. Hello, anyone can share in the chat. Yeah. So, okay, programming assignments. So, could you share a link to the programming assignment once more? I think if I'm sort of confusing that with the quiz um, link, web link, could you share the programming assignments link also in the chat, maybe in the chat? Okay, thanks for sharing. Um, um, well, I'm actually only able to see. I'm actually sharing my screen. I'm only able to see the quizzes in the chat in the website, which are the assignments here. If you mean by these assignments, please let me know. If there is some other programming assignments which is not listed here, then I think it's not the same thing. Just let me know if it's the same assignment that you are mentioning in terms of programming. Okay, anyways, we will go ahead with the quiz 2 part because the people have voted a lot for quiz 2. So we'll go ahead with quiz 2 and discuss that. So, okay, I think I'm able to see someone shared a snapshot. I think I'm able to see that. Okay, so the first question is you want to, given a positive integer n, you want to return the integer obtained by reversing the digits and n. Okay. Um, for this, okay, how, so for example, 783 would give you 387 and so on. Inverse, if it's a single digit, it's it give you 3 and so on. Okay, so let's discuss this problem and then I think we can sort of yeah, let me open my terminal sort of and then let me write the code there. There is a question, is it same like palindrome? It's not exactly same like palindrome because in palindrome you have the starting and the ending are the same strings. For example, Mississippi, some there are some different examples of palindrome. So um, your starting and ending characters should be the same in those cases. So that is not the case in this question. So we'll go ahead with the thing. With the inverse question. So I hope you are able to see my screen. Just post a thumbs up if you are able to see my screen. So inverse, let's say 387, 382 should give me 283. 283. Okay. There is a hands up. Yeah. Okay. I hope you are able to see as well as hear my voice clearly. Okay, we'll go ahead with the first programming assignment. So I'll define a function in, let's say n is my number. N is my number, and n is equal to 382 in this case. So basically, what I have to do is I have to take the first digit, place it in the last position, take the second digit, place it in the last position, and the last digit, and place it in the first position. So for that, what I can do is I can do something like I can um, see if my n is if it's a n. A simple way to do this, a very simple way to do this is like this. You can convert, let's say, str. Um, you can convert this to a string, let's say. So this is one way to do this. The integer to a string, and then you do return v, let's say -1. So this is one way to do this. If I just run this, let's say. Um, yeah, so if I do this thing, so I would get three. I want 283 actually. So X to for k in v in range length of v, let's say. So v is anyways a string, so I can just do I can do just a simple while loop also, and do k equal to, let's say, length of um, v, while k is greater than 0. I will do um, z equal to, let's say, this thing. Since I can do a string concatenation, so I do z plus vk, and I will get k equal to minus equal to 1, and just return z. I run this, the string is out of line of so I can do a list actually. That is k is equal to I see. I'm getting 2.8 only, not 3, but equal to 0 if I do. So I hope you're able to see what. Um, okay, I hope you're able to see what I did. Yeah, so one option is to do like this also, or you can do. Uh, Yeah, anyone wants to ask? Okay, I think you're. This is one way to do this. There are other ways also. Um, I'm just sharing another possible way without converting to a string. So one, this is one way. The other way is like, let's say I do inverts to n. Any doubts in the current implementation? Anyone has any doubts? Can anyone please share if anyone has any doubts? Okay, yeah, I'll just explain what I did. I took a number n, I converted into a string of that number, integer to string. So basically, 382 becomes this thing. It becomes 382, and then I converted that into a list on top of it. So if I do a list on top of this, I would get something like this: 3, comma 8, comma 2. So this is what I would get. So 3 1 question, the same page. Yeah. Yeah, so this is what I'm getting as v. Now what I'm doing is that I'm taking the last element first. So I'm k equal to len of v minus 1. Basically, k points to the last index. I'm concatenating that to empty string. So I get 2 first, and then I get 8, and then I get 3. So that is basically how I can solve this problem. So I'm running a while loop starting from the end till the initial position of the string, and then I'm simply sort of concatenating through the thing. Yeah, I hope that answers your doubt. Any questions so far? Okay. Line 8. So line 8 is basically I'm initializing z to empty string, and I'm then doing z plus, which is basically concatenating the string with the literal sort of. That's it. Can anyone post the second question also in the assignment as a screenshot, and then we can discuss that also. Can anyone share the second assignment problems? Yeah, thanks. So write a function matched s that takes an input string s and checks if brackets in s are matched, and that is every starting bracket has an ending bracket, and so on. So this is typically done using a simple data structure called stack. I don't know if stack is actually taught. I mean, when is stack? If there is actually, I think, no stack concept of stack, I think here. Yeah, so probably I will discuss that then, this question. So what? Probably I think most people know stack. If you don't know, um, basically, you, for example, in the first thing, you have matched. You have a opening bracket and a closing bracket, and so um, it's true. In the second example, you have a opening bracket, and then you have again a opening bracket, then a closing, then again a opening and closing. But for the first opening bracket, you don't have anything closed, so that's a false. So you can do something like a stack thing to just check if this thing is correct or not. So let us then sort of code this out. So def matched, let's say bracket or something, bracket list. So bracket is again a string here, and what I would do is a string. So I'll just do this. I'll just convert this to a list first. Bracket is, let's say I call it as wrap list or something. Then I do for item in wrap list if item is equal to do this, and then so you can actually do something like a stack uh, data structure here. Some questions or something. So okay, so there are no questions. So I have done this another way. It shows. So I think Somojit is the question. I have done this another way, but it shows all my public tasks is there. Could you share your like what idea I have tried out in the just on a high level? Um, let's see. Okay, so maybe I think we can come back to this problem later. I think we'll just discuss whatever we were discussing in the example. Um, so going back now once more. Yeah, so I will define a stack, let's say stack equal to let's say list something. If my so let's say for example, let's say it's it's this thing A, this thing B, C, something like this, let's say. So if item is this thing, I'll just do stack dot append my sort of item, right? Else if item is equal to my closing bracket, I will do stack dot pop. So I do this, and then so basically what I hope you're able to hear me and also see my screen. Hello, can you hear me? Can you see me? Anyone can see me or hear me? Sorry, I think there was a network issue. I hope I'm audible and you're able to see my screen. Please post a message if you're able to see my screen and you're also able to hear my audio. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'll just go to the code once, what we were discussing. I'll just open a new thing. Okay, so this is my sort of code for the matched problem in the assignment. I'll just run the code here so that you can just see. Okay, so now I think you would be able to hear. I'll just not speaking at that time. So now I'm running the code. So as you can see, I'll just make a clear thing, and I'll just run the code for this particular example, starting with opening bracket, then again opening bracket, closing bracket, and then opening bracket and closing bracket. But there is no sort of closing bracket for the one starting at A. So it should return me false. If I see it, it returns me false. Now let's say I add the closing bracket. If I do it now, it should return me true. If I do, let's say this, it should also return me false because there is an extra bracket at the end. Um, Basically, it gives me another error actually because I didn't handle a sort of um, a specific sort of extra condition. So, for example, if my ending things are more than my popping, so the ones that I have to pop is small, so I just have to do if stack, if len of stack is not equal to empty, I just do um, I only then do pop, otherwise I don't. I just, if I add this extra statement, just do that. Now should be, and so on. So I hope, sorry, I hope that clears your doubt. I think we probably will be ending soon today. Um, so yeah, we'll discuss the problems for week 1 quiz as well as some assignment problems for this week. I hope that sort of clears some doubt, and we also did some problem quizzes and so on. Um, with that, I think we'll probably end today, um, since we are short on time right now. For the next week, I'll just give you a brief description of what we are aiming to cover for next week. We are going to week 3, so we will look at lists, mostly lists and inductive function definitions. We'll also cover some recap for lecture 5 functions and lecture 4 control flow from a week, so as to, because we need some more time about functions and control flow, so we'll discuss those things in next week's class. And then we'll go into week 3, which is more on lists and inductive functions, and then also into sorting. So binary search and binary sorting and all those things we'll be discussing once in next class. So there is a question by Sheshant. Do you want to ask? Sheshant, do you want to go? You have a question? Sheshant, do you want to ask a question? Your hand is up. Okay. So is programming assignments for evaluation? Yes, it's for evaluation. So please, so there is another. Okay, I think that's it for the majority of the plan for next week. And this week we are closing on um, this kind of questions that we discussed today. We'll again do similar questions next week also. In final exam, how is it possible test like this code? Yeah, I think the more you practice, the better you get. As I mentioned last week also, please practice on HackerRank. HackerRank is one of the best platforms to work on typical problems like this. Yeah, I think we'll probably end the call today, because we are almost on time right now. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and speak up, and we will then end the call today. Yeah. So I missed last week's meeting and couldn't access the notes. Yeah, so the last week's meetings are recorded and it's up now, and you should be able to go through them. So it says please have a look through those week's videos. I think every week we are doing recorded lectures, so you'll be able to see that. I'm actually So you can practice on HackerRank. I think HackerRank is a good choice for doing programming questions. So I think yeah, we are short on time right now. We'll meet again next week. Thanks again for joining today. We'll discuss the remaining parts of the next week's lectures in the next week. And I hope you have a good learning experience and also um, get through the assignment through it. We'll discuss any questions on assignments and all next week again because we are almost on time right now. So thanks again for joining. We'll end the call here. Thanks again.